महामहोत्सव की महाराज
devotees, you should like to take a seat for the foot bathing ceremony. Samsara Anaya Karuna
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Tisanya Swami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
So before I start, if you'd like to say this prayer with me together, we can recite the following. Om Adhyanatinidandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruditanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance and the torchlight of knowledge. In the presence and respectful obeisances of the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radharanath, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, and all the senior Vaishnavas, devotees, and well-wishers present here and online today, it is immense joy and heartfelt reverence that we come together on this auspicious day to celebrate the 72nd Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. A heartfelt welcome extends not only to those present here physically, but to all our wonderful devotees and disciples and well-wishers online who have joined us to celebrate this glorious occasion. As the digital friends of devotion connect us across continents and time zones, let us unite in a resounding Hari Bol! I think we can do better. Let's give a huge Hari Bol for all of our devotees who are watching online. Hari Bol! We invite everybody online to share your presence with us on Facebook by leaving a comment with a hearty Hari Bol and the city or town from which you are joining. So let this global chorus of devotion remind us that despite the physical distances, our hearts beat in unison with love for Maharaj and the divine message he so tirelessly carries. Your virtual presence amplifies the power of the celebration, and together we create a tapestry of devotion that spans the globe. Hari Bol. A life so richly woven with devotion. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj's commitment and unswerving dedication to spreading the divine message of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been the beacon of light guiding countless souls towards the path of Krishna consciousness. His journey is a remarkable tapestry of service and unwavering faith that continues to inspire us all. In the heart of this spiritual wonder, the fire of Krishna consciousness was first ignited during his early days in New Zealand. As a young philosophy student, and he still has the energy of a very young person today, the first glimpse of his future spiritual master, His Divine Grace, B.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, left an indelible mark on his soul. And from that moment, his course of life was forever changed. Initiated as Raghavir Das in 1973, and 11 years later receiving the order of sannyas in Mayapur. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami has embarked on a journey that has led him across continents, dedicating himself to sharing the timeless wisdom of our sweet Lord Krishna. From distributing Srila Prabhupada's books to serving as a temple president in South Africa, Srila Gurudev's journey and services in various roles and leadership positions have been a testament to his unwavering spirit. His global outreach from Africa to Europe, from Russia to India and Mauritius has transcended borders, touching hearts and spiritually transforming lives. A spiritual leader, he is a tireless traveler in the service of Srila Prabhupada for 50 years this year. Let's play He has embarked on a remarkable journey that has not only spanned the physical globe, but has also transcended the realms of the heart and the spirit and the digital world. This is why our theme for today's Vyasa Puja celebration is traveling in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Today's theme encompasses the various countries that Srila Gurudev has visited, along with photographs shared by numerous disciples from those regions. Additionally, there's a symbol of the swan, the carrier gracefully ferrying celestial beings from the realms beyond. With the grace of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev has also descended from the spiritual world to extend the salvation to us souls in need of dire guidance. In his service to the Gaudi Wali Commission, Maharaj's influence spans far and wide, guiding regions across the globe. But beyond these roles and responsibilities, what truly sets him apart for his disciples is his boundless love for his devotees. Your online Japa programs and other programs have bridged the gaps of physical distance, have united us in devotion, reaffirming that no matter where you are in this world, your presence is a blessing we can always access. Hari Bol. Today we stand before you, Srila Gurudev. We remember that we stand in the presence of a disciple of the illustrious and most powerful Acharya who has changed the world in ways that words can do no justice. Srila Prabhupada. The teachings of pure bhakti emanate from Krishna himself, who is the original guru and transcendental teacher. In a world where voices may differ, your voice, Srila Gurudev, resounds with the harmonious teachings of the great spiritual luminaries, and your unwavering message is clear. Krishna is our true friend, and the path of Godhead lies in selfless devotion and service. Let today remind us that each day in the company of Maharaj is a golden opportunity, an opportunity to serve, to love, to deepen our connection with the divine. These teachings remind us that true success lies not in material acquisitions, but in the richness of our spiritual pursuits. Let us remember that the authentic Guru holds his teachings as it is imparted by Lord Krishna himself. The crucial realization underscores that the genuine Guru recognizes Krishna as our true friend and never assumes the role of God or advocates for our divinity. It is indeed an act of divine compassion of God to send us a spiritual master, and it is the spiritual master's grace that facilitates our connection with the divine. The Bhagavad Gita states that the path to returning to Godhead is through unwavering devotion. Given our stature and inherent helplessness, how can we, who possess so little, offer anything to the possessor of all things? The answer lies wholeheartedly in serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, Srila Gurudev Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. So in the presence of a bona fide spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, and with his guidance, let us recommit ourselves to devotional service, to keeping Srila Prabhupada happy, and in doing so, finding our lasting and true happiness. In the legacy of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, we are reminded that we are recipients of an unparalleled fortune. While many spiritual stalwarts have departed from this world, we are reminded in that separation from such revered and beautiful souls who touched our hearts and transformed our lives spiritually, we are still blessed today to be in the presence of a living beacon of wisdom and devotion in this world. As we sit here today and as we watch online, let us celebrate this Vyasa Puja with an expression of gratitude. Let this be an occasion to offer our hearts in service and in tribute to a life that has touched and transformed countless souls, such as the beautiful deities who have been dressed here for the pleasure of Srila Gurudev with love and devotion by his disciples. Let's give them a Hari Bol. May we continue to drink deeply from the nectar of Maharaja's teachings as he guides us through the ocean of material existence towards the shores of spiritual fulfillment. As the sun of his wisdom rises across the globe, dispelling the darkness of ignorance, let us pledge to walk hand in hand, carrying his message of love, unity, and Krishna consciousness to every corner of the world. With His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj as our guide, our hearts are filled with hope and our path illuminated by the eternal light of divine grace. Let that love be the mood in which we all celebrate the beautiful life of the spiritual master who has the strength, the determination, and the energy of a young warrior that keeps going. And with that, dear devotees, I would like to officially welcome you to the 72nd Vyasa Puja celebrations of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, our dear Srila Gurudev. Hari Bol! And a very warm welcome to you, Srila Gurudev. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki Srila Prabhupada ki. Now that we've set the scene for those online and those that are here with us, we are now going to delve into the profound significance of this splendid occasion, the Vyasa Puja. It's an honor to introduce you to His Grace Yamaraj Prabhu, who will graciously share the essence of the Vyasa Puja on behalf of Her Grace Seva Kunjamata. Based in Singapore, Mataji is a devoted disciple of Srila Gurudev for approximately 15 years and is ardently engaged in outreach to the Chinese community in Singapore. I'd like to welcome His Grace Yamaraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna devotees. The meaning of Vyasa Puja 2023. Our senses are imperfect. We are cheaters, illusionists, and we make mistakes. We can't accept knowledge from anyone because imperfect knowledge is useless. What we want is perfect knowledge. We all know perfect knowledge comes from God, and the one who distributes this knowledge perfectly according to what God has said, is perfect as well. A bona fide spiritual master imparts this knowledge perfectly as he has heard through Guru Parampara. This is a letter to Bali Mardana from Srila Prabhupada on the 21st of August 1970. Open quote. The ripened fruit is received hand to hand through disciplic succession. And anyone who does this work in disciplic succession from Srila Vyasadeva is considered as a representative of Vyasadeva, and as such, the bona fide spiritual master's appearance day is worshipped as Vyasa Puja. Closing quote. Next is a lecture by His Holiness Divine Grace Prabhupada on the first canto, 3rd chapter, 26th verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam on the 1st of October 1976. Open inverted commas. So Guru is also incarnation of God, mercy incarnation of God. Guru means that God is within you. Chaitya Guru, the Guru or the spiritual master within your heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati. So this Paramatma is also incarnation of God. And the same Paramatma, when he comes before you, being very much merciful upon you, to teach you from outside, that is Guru. Close inverted commas. Next is Srila Prabhupada said this on his Vyasa Puja on the 2nd of September 1972 in New Vrindavan. Open quote. So this Vyasa Puja means one day in a year on the birthday of the spiritual master. Because he is representative of Vyasa, he is delivering the same knowledge which has come down by disciplic succession. Without any change, he is offered the respect. This is called Vyasa Puja. And the spiritual master receives all honor, all contribution on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not for his person. Just like in our country where there was British rule, there was a viceroy, a king's representative. So naturally, when viceroy used to go to some meeting, many people used to present valuable jewels. Valuable because just to honor him. But the law was not that a single of the jewels or contribution the viceroy could touch. It was going to the royal treasury. The viceroy could accept on behalf of the king all contribution, but it goes to the king. Similarly, this day, Vyasa Puja day, whatever honor, contributions and feelings is being offered to the spiritual master, it is again as we have received the knowledge from upwards. Similarly, this respect also goes from downward to the upward. This is the process. So as the spiritual master is teacher of the student, he has to teach the disciple how to send back his respect and contribution to God. This is called Vyasa Puja. Close quote. The spiritual master teaches everything we need to know about the Lord who dwells within us, that one supreme person who is unseen by our eyes. A qualified spiritual master learns, understands, lives and teaches the scriptures. The scriptures be fully manifested and understood in this material world through the spiritual master's teaching. The result of this successful combination between God, the scriptures, the Guru and the disciple is that the heart is cleansed. The attraction to material desires is reduced, lifetimes of karma phala are dissolved and loving service to the Supreme Lord is established. This is a lecture by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada on the 31st August 1975 in Vrindavan Dham. Open quote. To acquire this Vedic knowledge, there is only one solution. Yasya deve para bhaktir. To have unflinching faith in the Lord, transcendental faith, and just like we have transcendental faith on the Lord, similarly transcendental faith on the spiritual master. Yasya deve para bhaktir, yatha deve tatha parao. This should be practiced and to teach that we have to sit down and be worshipped by them and to teach them. This is correct. That is why the Vyasa Puja celebration is conducted. They also worship, and those who have faith in the Acharya Upasana, the Lord says in the scriptures that the Acharya should be worshipped. So all of you have so kindly come here. Thank you. This Krishna consciousness movement, we teach this all over the world. Vedic Pantha, Shrauta Pantha, Shrotriya Brahma Niham. To be firmly devoted to the absolute truth, one must accept the path of hearing from authorities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, at the time of imparting knowledge to Rupa Goswami, Guru ka prasada paya bhakti lata vija. Through the spiritual master and Krishna, we get the seed of the creeper of devotional service. These are some thoughts. Therefore, it is the duty of the disciple to celebrate the appearance day of the spiritual master, Vyasa Puja. The spiritual master will teach. Close quote. We give thanks for his boundless compassion and tireless efforts to save us. Compassionate gurus always ensure that the teachings are handed down to the next generations. Yet, it is not an easy task. Even Lord Krishna says that he must come to the earth, age after age, to re-establish the teachings which have been lost. One essential component of preserving the living message is therefore the chain of teachers, the parampara. The spiritual master not only comes in parampara, but he ensures that the parampara continues by making the scriptures accessible and intelligible, the essential scriptural techniques practicable, and by fully initiating and training his disciples. He encourages his students to do the same for their countrymen and the next generation. In this way, the ancient knowledge and tradition is preserved. A guru gives systematic knowledge, relevant guidance, and inspirational encouragement to everyone who wishes to receive it from him, those who are qualified as well as newcomers. He gives all he has with compassion, love, and discipline, and he lives his life as an example of what it means to be in Krishna consciousness. The open quote, this is from Srila Prabhupada on the Vyasa Puja as his homage to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in February 1935, Bombay. Open quote. Herein lies the secret of Vyasa Puja. When we meditate on the transcendental pastimes of the Absolute Godhead, we are proud to feel that we are His eternal servitors, and we become jubilant and dance with joy. All glory to my Divine Master, for it is He who has out of His unceasing flow of mercy stirred up within us such a movement of eternal existence. Let us bow down at His lotus feet. Close quote. Vyasa Puja is an annual opportunity for all of us gathered here to reflect upon the mission and movement of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is a mission which our most beloved Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, holds close to his heart and strictly adheres to. Our deepest appreciation for everything we have received from Srila Gurudev, of the amazing changes which has transformed our lives, and our display of gratitude must truly be to continue the mission of His most extraordinary representative of Srila Vyasadeva. Let us honor him on this glorious day of his Vyasa Puja today and always work together to make his lifelong mission a resounding success. His Holiness Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Gurudev Ki, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Guru Parampara Ki. This was written by Her Grace Seva Kuch Mataji, in case anyone missed it.
Just as a means of introduction, my name is Vyasa and I am your program director for this evening. The next part of the program, as we come together today in glorification of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, we must also remember our good fortune to have Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Srila Prabhupada's compassion and legacy manifest through his ISKCON, his teaching, literature, and the shining example of his Vaishnava character. These elements enable us both as individuals and as a collective to actively partake in the vibrant Sankirtan movement initiated by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is with that in mind that the next part of our program, Srila Gurudev will now read his offering to Srila Prabhupada.
My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your divine grace. All glories to your mercy on even the most fallen, like myself. We're seeing in different ways how we are deep in the material world and how Kali Yuga is overwhelming the whole material situation. There can be a tendency to think that things here may get better, but by the grace of Lord Krishna, it is becoming more and more clear that optimism on the mundane level is simply a waste of time. The situation is hopeless and rapidly becoming even worse. I remember the first time I saw you at the Auckland University in New Zealand in April 1972. You were the first devotee I ever saw, walking regally through the university grounds with a small group of disciples. As you walked, two young female devotees danced gracefully next to you and threw rose petals under your lotus feet. A thought spontaneously entered my mind that this must be like heaven. It was completely amazing. I was studying philosophy in the hope of finding some direction and meaning in my life. But all it was doing was making things worse. One of the people I was studying, I think Descartes, developed the philosophy of the doubt. It sounded interesting initially for the hippie-type mind. Don't be taken in by misleaders. Stick to the truth. But then I found out that after some time, he told his followers to stop following him, as, he said, I doubt my own philosophy. In my confused way, I understood there was no future in material life. But I could not see a clear alternative. When you spoke, you pointed out the predicaments I and so many other youngsters were facing. You said, so this is actually Prabhupada speaking at the Auckland University. This first time I saw him, he gave a talk, and this is some extracts from it. When you spoke, you pointed out the predicaments I and so many other youngsters were facing. You said, why, younger section, are feeling such frustration and confused in spite of so much educational institution? In your Western country, there's no question of poverty. You're all well-to-do, especially. I've extensively traveled over America and Europe, especially America. They're very opulent. I've traveled in Australia and come to your country, New Zealand. So far material necessities are concerned, you're all well-to-do. So why this question of frustration? It did not really sink in at the time, but Srila Prabhupada, gradually the depth of your words has become increasingly apparent to me. You are that unique person of our time who gave us and who continues to give us hope and a practical process for manifesting that hope. At the end of your class at the university, you said, so our request is that younger section may not feel confused and frustration. There is very nice hope. Those who are taking to this Krishna consciousness, mostly their younger section. Now ask them how much hopeful they are, how much jubilant they are. So my request is that you're all young boys and girls, flowers of the country. Don't feel frustration and confused. There's nice hope in Krishna consciousness. My only request is that you all, learned boys and girls, try to understand this philosophy and science, and you will be happy. That is my request. Unquote. There is no doubt at all in my heart that you literally saved me from a most hellish future. Thank you again and again, Srila Prabhupada. I give my life to you absolutely and pledge that I'll always be willing to do whatever I can to serve you. Without your mercy, my life is meaningless. On this sacred day, I pray to you to please keep me engaged in any type of service you feel you want. That is the be-all and end-all of my existence. Begging for your mercy eternally, your lowly servant, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Hare Krishna. Checking the mood in the room. Hare Krishna. So, just a reminder to all of our well-wishers, disciples, and devotees that are watching online on Facebook, please give us a huge Hari Bol in the comment section, and also just let us know from which part of the world you're watching this wonderful Vyasa Puja. So, again, I'm going to check the mood in the room as we all are here to celebrate this wonderful and joyous occasion. So, Shri Radha Ki. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. And let's give a huge Hari Bol for everybody online. Let's see how loud we can be. Hari Bol! So moving forward with our program, we will now invite our senior Vaishnavas who will offer their heartfelt expressions and appreciation for Srila Gurudev, enriching this auspicious occasion even more. Each of these revered Vaishnavas have played a significant role in advancing the ISKCON movement in South Africa and across the globe. So although my introductions may fall short in fully capturing their remarkable contributions, and I do ask for forgiveness, in propagating Krishna consciousness, their impact in South Africa remains truly profound. So first, I would like to welcome His Grace Medavi Prabhu. His Grace Medavi Das stands as a stalwart devotee of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON for over 45 years, having served selflessly and wholeheartedly. Initiated by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, he has and continues to play a pivotal role in the movement's growth across various countries, including Mayapur, England, Ireland, and South Africa. His dedicated efforts were instrumental in establishing Shri Radharanath Temple during the early 1980s, and his commitment also extended to Cape Town, where he transformed a small temple into a thriving sector. I don't believe I need to give any more introductions than to say he continues to play a pivotal role in transforming many and leading in Krishna consciousness across the country. So with that, I'd like to welcome His Grace Medavi Prabhu. Hare Krishna!
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
I'm very honored to be here today. Not at all qualified. And I pray to the Lordships to allow me to glorify Maharaj to the best of my limited ability. Whenever I read Bhagavad Gita, I've taken up the habit of reading a chapter a day in the evening before taking rest, which is a very good habit for everyone. I come across the 9th chapter, and I'm always caught on text number 14. Satatam kirtiyantam yatantasya jagavata namasyantas jamam bhakcha nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. In the purport Prabhupada mentions, a Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna. He has no other business. The Mahatma is always engaged in the different activities of devotional service. So, Maharaj has taken complete shelter of Srila Prabhupada's instructions to practice devotional service and to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. He has collected literally thousands of sincere souls from all corners of the world. This is amazing display. He has collected them and he's initiated them into devotional service and continues to train them personally through constant broadcasts of his daily japa, Srimad Bhagavatam, and seminars on important aspects of Vaishnava understanding. He has pursued the Bhakti Vaibhava course, and I can remember when his health was so critical, practically speaking. And then he was, I think, from the hospital bed doing the Bhakti Sarachara course. And then 1 week later, it was Bhakti Vaibhava. So there was no question of stopping for anything and continuing with presenting Krishna consciousness from the hospital bed. And every morning without fail, wherever he may be, he follows the daily program instituted by Srila Prabhupada. I had the opportunity to travel with Maharaj for about 4 years, collecting funds for this temple. We did our duty of collecting funds, collecting money for this program, following the temple program. We saw some sights, and we had some wonderful Sunday feasts. Maharaj says, as you know, he's a wonderful cook, and watch out for his deep-fried cauliflower. That's a killer. So we also had this great Chacharya, also a wonderful cook. We would prepare the pushpan and rice. And I would do the smite trays. I would do the apple chutney, the carrot halwa, and the caramel with cream and walnuts on top. So, practically speaking, some of our feasts were better than what we did at the time. Unfortunately, as a person hammered with so many material qualities, it is difficult for me to appreciate Mars's wonderful virtues. That ability is open only to those pure devotees of his caliber and to his loving disciples. But I hope that my inherent envious nature will soon be vanquished and my distasteful association will become tolerable. So, Mars has done practically more than any of Srila Prabhupada's followers to push on Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And he embodies the characteristic of books are the basis, as well as purity is the force. Utility is the principle, and what's the last thing? Preaching is the essence. So Mars is embodying all of these wonderful characteristics and qualities. And you know more than me how important Mars is to South Africa and practically speaking to the world. How his wonderful characteristics and qualities uplift everyone. Wherever he goes in the world, he just turns on the lights. Turns on the lights of Krishna consciousness. And for that we're eternally indebted. Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj.
His Grace Biddevi Prabhu ki Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada ki. So, it's my honor to invite our next speaker, His Grace Govardhan Das. Govardhan Das is one of the most senior disciples of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. He has various leadership roles and responsibilities, including GBC for Southern Africa, chairman of the Back to God magazine, also a BBT trustee, and continues to play a pivotal role as a leader, preacher, and teacher at ISKCON. A warm welcome to His Grace Govardhan Prabhu.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Nidamine Namami Bhakti Chaitanya Prabhupada Sevanam Shri Vajidana Mahatmaya Pradakshakam Anam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidamine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Prasade Nirvishesha Sundravadi Paschata Desatare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Dear Guru Maharaj, my Lord and Master, I offer you my prostrated obeisances. All glories to your divine grace on this auspicious occasion of your Shri Vyasa Puja. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the commencement of his 150th anniversary celebrations. The scriptures leave no ambiguity in its utterances on the need for a spiritual master. As Lord Krishna's emissary on the earth, the living role model of pure devotional service, the perfect disciple of the perfect master, the epitome of conviction and practice, one who exemplifies sadhana bhakti, one who accepts great inconvenience to travel and preach, one who demonstrates perfect sadhachar, one who preserves and presents the doctrinal integrity of Gaudiya Sampradaya, one who overtly relishes the Srimad Bhagavatam, and who is seized on a daily basis with a hands-on work for the protection of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, a transcendental safe house. Unto such a personality, my eternal master and guide, the pivot of my existence, I offer my repeated obeisances over and over again. It's a rare good fortune, a rare privilege to be connected to such a bona fide spiritual master, coming in disciplined line from Lord Shri Krishna himself. I have had a good fortune to meet your divine grace at a youthful age, and served you into my 50s, and now to observe and learn from you how to deal with complex institutional matters that are way above my pay grade. I pray that you will kindly allow me to remain in your service till my very last breath. Today is a glorious day. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami captured the mood of Vyasa Puja in his narration of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu celebrating the worship of Lord Chaitanya. Today is not a sentimental occasion. The worship of the spiritual master is a shastric injunction, an order from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Guru Krishna Rupa Shastrena Pramani. Guru Rupa Krishna Kripa Karine Bhakti Kari. According to the deliberate opinion of all real scriptures, the spiritual master is none different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. As a direct representative of God, the spiritual master is worthy of all respect and worship. While Krishna is Vibhu, the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master is Anu, an atomic living being. Yet it's by the Guru's surrender by which the spiritual master becomes empowered to act as an instrument of the Lord. Such a spiritual master carries in his heart the mission of all the previous acharyas. He is their dedicated servant. As the carrier of their order, he becomes the carrier of their blessings. As the carrier of the Parampara's blessings, the spiritual master passes on the blessings to his disciples. Without the mercy and blessing of the spiritual master, no one can attain the goal of life. The celebration of this sacred ceremony includes a vrat, vow, by the disciples to fast half a day, form of worship in the form of puja and arati and mahatmaya, glorification by the disciples. This helps create a deep impression, a samskar, upon our hearts that the spiritual master is not an ordinary person, not an ordinary man, but a dedicated servant of his spiritual master, and an instrument in the hands of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vyasa Puja is not a ritualistic ceremony. It's an occasion of love and mutual reciprocation of love, a festival of love and gratitude. By receiving the blessings of the spiritual master, we make rapid spiritual progress, thus putting distance between routine and active spiritual life. We carry an eternal debt to the spiritual master, a debt we could never repay, yet imbibing an evangelistic spirit to preach and spread the Sankirtan movement is most pleasing to the spiritual master, and some of that debt may become forgiven. Guru Maharaj, I am grateful for the good fortune of trying to be your disciple. I am by nature a fallen person and a desperate disciple. However, I do have a deep desire to please you, to be an instrument in your steady hands. Please continue to be patient with me as I try and work on the many anarthas. Please forgive me for my trespasses and countless offenses. All glories to your divine grace in this most auspicious occasion of the Vyasa Puja. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, your stamens and Govardhanas.
His Grace Govardhan Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Our next speaker as part of the program is His Grace Ramanuja Acharya Das. He is a stalwart disciple of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and a resident devotee of Sri Sri Radharanath Temple. He has played a pivotal role at Sri Sri Radharanath and has also served personally with Sri Gurudev in propagating Krishna consciousness. Please, I want to just remind us today that we are in the presence of such wonderful stalwart devotees, and let us remind ourselves how fortunate we are. And with that in mind, I'd like to welcome His Grace Ramanuja Acharya Prabhu to the podium. Hare Krishna.
Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Namine. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pujayane Nirvishesha Sunjavadi Pastukati. So nice to see you, Maharaj. I have a few notes I'm going to read and then I'm going to speak from that. But this isn't very long. Oh. These are some quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from the 4th canto, chapter 22, verse 16. There are 3 different kinds of devotees, namely Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The neophyte, the preacher, and the Mahabhagavata. So Prabhupada, he gives a translation of Madhyama Adhikari, which means the middle or medium devotee. And he says the preacher, which is significant. The highly advanced devotee is one who knows the conclusion of the Vedas in full knowledge. Thus, he becomes a devotee. Indeed, not only is he convinced himself, but he convinces others. On the strength of Vedic evidence, the advanced devotee can also see all other living entities as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord without discrimination. The Madhyama Adhikari, preacher, is also well versed in the Shastras and can convince others also, but he discriminates between the favorable and the unfavorable. In other words, the Madhyamadikari does not care for the demoniac living entities. And the neophyte, Kanishta Adhikari, does not know much about Shastra but has full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if the devotee is in the Uttama Bhagavat status, he must come down to the second status of life, Madhyamadikari, to be a preacher. A disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master. This next quote is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, chapter 14, verse 39. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is he who has helped others become Vaishnavas. The next quote is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 21st chapter, 18th verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery or words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. The next quote is from the Narada Bhakti Shastra, Narada Bhakti Sutra, 3:39. Another proof of the power of the Mahatma is his ability to convert non-devotees into saintly persons. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur stated that a Vaishnava can be tested by seeing how good a touchstone he is, by seeing how many Vaishnavas he has made during his life. So I first met His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami when he was the president of our farm ashram, our country ashram in Cato Ridge. Cato Ridge is between Durban and Petersburg. In those days, the country was under apartheid. There was a law that people of different races couldn't live together, but they didn't care so much on farms, So therefore, the first couple of centers we had were farms. So we had Cato Ridge and later Muldersdrift. And Maharaj was the temple president at that time. He's always been a leader. And so then, due to certain circumstances, our GBC at the time, Bhagavan Prabhu, decided we had to concentrate all our energies into building this temple. I remember Gokulandra Prabhu this was his project. Parthasarathi Maharaj was doing the tent campaign. And then we had many, what we called service groups, and now we call Namahatas. So we were doing a lot of preaching, but Bhagavan said, you have to stop all these things and concentrate on building this temple. This temple is a beacon of enlightenment and hope. What would it be like if you didn't have a temple? So therefore, in order to get money to build the temple, Tulsi Das, who was the secretary and also he was president. He was our regional secretary. We started a painting business, and this business, we would import oil paintings from Hong Kong and from Korea, and these were not Krishna conscious paintings. These were paintings of flowers and street scenes and forest scenes, and it was a business. So in order to do that, and most of our customers were white people, and even among the white people, more Afrikaners. So in order to do this, we had to grow our hair out, cut up our shikas, wear Western clothes, and go out and sell paintings. So then we had one of our team is here today of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. At that time he was Raghuveer, his first initiated name, and Medhavi Prabhu, and we were traveling mostly around the Free State and the Western Cape, every place. All kinds of places like Tables Kloof, and anyway. And we would set up exhibitions on the weekends, and sometimes during the Christmas holidays to sell these paintings. And it was quite difficult. We didn't know how long it would take to build the temple, and it was finally opened. It started in 1980, and we ended in 1985. So Maharaj was always our leader, and he was always setting the pace. Thank God it wasn't me, I couldn't do it. But, and we can see Maharaj has so much energy for preaching. And he recently went up to Europe and to even Ukraine and the Baltic States and the UK. That's the recent places he was. And he has a lot of enthusiasm and determination in order to spread Krishna consciousness. And all these places, this was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was traveling all over the world, and he came here to South Africa in 1975. So this was quite austere for us. I remember I was with Maharaj. We went to a program in Phoenix, and there was a half-completed Hindu temple. And you might have seen these in different places, because the government at that time would give out parcels of land so that we could build the temples or churches or mosques. So there was a half-completed Hindu temple and hall. And we asked the people, what is this? And they said, well, they ran out of money, and I guess they ran out of enthusiasm. And then I told Maharaj, I said, we should teach them how to sell paintings. And then Maharaj said that yes, Tulsi will give them a roll of paintings, because we would go around, we'd have a roll of paintings. And sometimes during the week, we would go from shop to shop to show our paintings, and they would be in a roll. So this was what we did, and that's when I had the most intense association with His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. I'm just a little guy. I'm a follower. He's the leader. And we appreciate Maharaj. You've done so much in South Africa and around the world. And thank you very much. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you to His Grace Ramanuja Acharya Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
His Grace Ramanuja Acharya Prabhu. Ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
So, I'd like to invite Her Grace Mother Radharana. She needs no introduction, an embodiment of love, compassionate, and Vaishnava etiquette. But she's also a disciple of His Holiness Viraj Swami Maharaj and a long-standing devotee in the service of our beloved Sri Sri Radharana. So I'd like to welcome Her Grace Mother Radharana to the stage. Let's give a huge Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutana Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinurana. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutana Srimati Bhakti Swami Tinurana. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutana Srimati Bhakti Swami Tinurana. Please accept the most humble obeisances. All glories to you, Maharaj, on this most auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. Having known you from the day I have joined, about 43 years ago. On this spiritual journey, there were many obstacles, but the mercy of advanced devotees like you, who encouraged and trained us in the earlier days, we were ever blissful in our services. We are fortunate here, especially in Durban, to have your association for your spiritual qualities truly and unlimited. You are eternally illuminated soul. We appreciate your unique transcendental qualities, your extraordinary degree of Krishna consciousness. We have to cry for the shelter of Krishna's holy name. Shelter comes from the Lord. When the Lord is pleased with our intention and spirit of service, Krishna is present fully in His holy name, and this is realized by humility and sincerity and charity. Cooperation means to be willing to sacrifice for the sake of others that is pleasing to Krishna. These qualities are seen in your daily activities. Recalling the early days of pilgrimage, During the early days, we were very enthusiastic. Under your guidance as temple president, you were always calm and equipoised. I remember that almost every day you and some of the devotees used to go out on Sankirtan, maintaining caterage and collecting for Sri Sri Radharani. In those days, the feasts were cooked by Srila Prabhupada's disciples and was always out of this world. You partook in the cooking and you made the best halwa ever. I really appreciate the dedication you have given to the South African yatra in all these years. I am eternally indebted to all your care and service to Sri Sri Radharani. May you always remain with us, always under yours. Always remain under your eternal shelter. Your servant of the servant, Radharani.
Thank you, Mother Radha. Her Grace, Mother Radha ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Next, we have His Grace Vaishnava Pran Prabhu, a senior disciple of Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. In addition to his pivotal role as a member
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Shrimati Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Dinamani. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvaya Charani Nirvishaya Krishnavali Paschatya Desharani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear Mother, please accept my respectful obeisances at the dusk of lotus feet. On this most auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation for all that you have done for me and my family over the years. The following verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita 22:54 comes to mind. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrakaya. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhihara. A sadhu is not an ordinary man with a saffron robe or a long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service and unflinchingly has unflinching faith in Krishna. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:30. Sadhu eva sarvamantravya. Lord Chaitanya confirms this. Lava matra, sadhu sangha, sarva siddhihara. Simply by a moment's association with sadhu, one can attain perfection. I consider it my good fortune to have your association, which you so freely give. Thank you for your advice and guidance through some of the challenges I have been through. I pray that the Lord should grant you good health so that you can continue guiding us. Your humble servant, always. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
His Grace Vaishnava Pran ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. I'm just going to announce our next few devotees that will come up and render their offerings to Srila Gurudev, just so that they're aware. It's going to be His Grace Pravanu Prabhu, followed by His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu, and His Grace Ram Vijay Prabhu. So now I'd like to welcome His Grace Pravanu Prabhu to the stage. His Grace Pravanu Prabhu is the temple president of New Jagannath Puri Temple for the past 25 years, and he is the disciple of His Holiness Bhakticharu Swami Maharaj. A very warm welcome. Hare Krishna. As he makes his way, I just want to check the energy in the room. And I know that online we have a lot of devotees joining, so let us welcome them. And so let's all together give them a huge Hari Bol. 1, 2, 3. Hari Bol!
Sri Advaita Shri Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So I'm not an eloquent speaker, but I just want to say a few things about His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. And maybe I'll start with an icebreaker so that it'll help us. Help me to be a little bit more relaxed. So a few years ago, Maharaj and he called me once because he wanted me to do something, and he asked me how I am. And I said that I was struggling. This is my natural response for most of you. So Maharaj said that he's struggling also. And I told him, Maharaj, no, the struggling club is just me at the moment, it's not a space for anyone else. So Maharaj was making the point that he also belongs to the struggling club. And I told him, no, I'm the chairperson of the struggling club, so he can't apply. But Maharaj, being the intelligent, quick-witted person that he is, he said, no, that's fine, but I'm the GBC of this struggling club. So I had no comeback, So I accepted defeat at that point in time. And then a week later, Maharaj called me for something else. And in the meantime, Krishna gave some realization. And I told him, Maharaj, you remember this conversation? And then Maharaj did. I said, I'm the founder of charity. So anyway, but I will explain why Maharaj kind of joined the struggling. But I have some characteristics from the Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami. I would read just to not to show my learning, but to show the qualities that Maharaj has. The spiritual master is learned in the Vedas, the Bhakti Shastras, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we all see through Maharaj's wonderful classes and teaching. He destroys the doubts of his disciples and fills them with faith. He understands Krishna's glories as a benefactor, protector, and so on of his devotees. Because of his firm faith and worship of the Lord, he has realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of his purity and surrender, he has received Krishna's mercy, potency. Thus, the spiritual master is empowered to infuse mercy into his disciples and bring them along with the path of bhakti. He has attained the grace of his own Guru, but being similarly devoted to his Guru's lotus feet. He is completely peaceful and fully surrendered to Krishna bhakti. He has offered his heart to Krishna. His body is free from disease, only the devil. He has controlled his six senses and has defeated the six enemies headed by lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, and lewd. He has been blessed by the sadhus, knows the immaculate part of the Veda, and is in constant transcendental consciousness. Through his devotion, he is deeply attached to Krishna. So they have ordinary characteristics and then exceptional characteristics. So now look at the exceptional characteristics. A guru who is born in a pure family who is sinless and faultless himself, who is well behaved, belongs to a particular ashram, free from anger, knows the Vedas and all other scriptures, has faith, does not find fault, speaks affectionately, is young, nice to behold, smartly dressed, and engaged in the welfare of all living entities. Non-violent, intelligent, tireless, satisfied, grateful, pure-hearted, and merciful, able to judge transcendental truth, endowed with parental love, expert in puja of the Supreme Lord, affectionate towards his disciples, able to punish and reward, and who knows all kinds of arguments and compartments in the ocean of glories. Any devotee who is endowed with such attributes and full of parental love for his disciples can act as a bona fide guru. Such a sportsmaster is able to destroy various obstacles in the disciples' bhajan, blessing with prayer, and delivering him to the birthplace of Radha and Krishna. So this is why Maharaj kind of belongs to the studying club, because he has all these wonderful qualities. But on this most auspicious day, I'd like to also pray to Maharaj to forgive me for my countless offenses. And Maharaj is definitely more merciful than Krishna. In Krishna's case, he only forgave 100 offenses of Shishupal. But in my case, Maharaj has forgiven one countless one that I can't even count. Thank you very much for forgiving me for all these countless offenses. But more importantly, Maharaj is I was thinking about Maharaj in terms of, I'm trying to use a material analogy, so please forgive me. But Maharaj is like the anchor tenant. You know, like we have an anchor tenant for this Checkers Center, and Checkers is the anchor tenant there. Maharaj is like the anchor tenant for ISKCON in South Africa. He's been there forever and ever and ever, holding this ISKCON together to the best of his ability, and encouraging all of us in our practice of Krishna consciousness. So on this most auspicious day of the Vyasa Puja, please keep me at the shelter of the feet and forgive me my countless offenses. Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
His Grace Prabhupada Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Next, we'd like to welcome His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu. His Grace Damodar Prabhu Damodar Das is a senior disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. He has held several leadership positions across South Africa and is the temple president of Sri Sri Radharana. A warm welcome to His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Chakshurandalitanyana tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchapapatudhivista Kripasimudhivyacha Tatinanam Bhavanabhyo Dakshinadevyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna and dear devotees. So on this holy occasion, we would like to share some realizations, but without any sentiment. Sometimes in Vyasa Puja ceremonies, by the nature of the occasion, sometimes sentiment comes and carries us, and it's a wonderful thing. But from an objective perspective, it's also very important to understand
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna. As we were mentioning, sometimes we may get carried away with sentiment without understanding the objective of why we may be gathered here. Of course, sentiment or devotion is a necessary emotion, a very necessary disposition that carries one's devotion in a very wonderful, meaningful way. And without sentiment and devotion, we may actually lose the experience of tasting bhakti. But still, when sentiment is not based on some clear foundational spiritual understanding, philosophical understanding, it can become a hindrance in the sense that with those two purports, my mind just immediately went to the person, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. I tried to think of others in relation to the purport, but it kept going to him. So I thought, in the light of Maharaj's then upcoming Vyasa Puja, maybe I'll speak about that. So it developed in my mind a little more, and that's what I wanted to share with you all on this holy occasion. We have three very important aspects in our spiritual progress that guides us, that gives us a clear direction of where we are headed, where we should be headed, and the progress that we are making along that path. And that is Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. And of these three, we are taught that Shastra is that central evidence that we must most rely on. And that Guru and Sadhu, they derive authenticity on the level of their faithful adherence to the Shastra. Of course, at this point, we can also be posed with a very difficult problem, in the sense that there are so many Shastras that we can access today. So many types of Vedic literature, some different presentations, some different teachers. So how does one actually choose? And it can be very, very confusing. Because even within these Shastras, these scriptures, there are even cheating types that are also presented in this way. However, here today, all of us in this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we are very fortunate in the fact that we have very easily accessible to us the ripened fruit of the desired tree of all the Vedic literature in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, it's not different from Krishna. Krishna Sudhama Padate Dharma Jnana Vidhi Saha Kalanashta Dishamesha Puranarka Vinodita. It is actually Krishna who was manifested soon after he himself left his own abode. Not only that, in the Bhagavatam itself, its own glories are very, very extensively extolled. And even in many, actually in all the other Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam is highlighted as the topmost of all Vedic literature. The Amala Purana, or the Amala Pramana, the topmost evidence that can be found. Yet at the same time, one cannot go it alone, just on the basis of Shastra. This approach can cause deviation and a very severe misapplication if one is not careful. One can argue and debate about philosophical understanding. One can argue with different philosophers. One can read all the Vedas, but still one will not find the true conclusion or find what is the proper path ahead in spiritual life. So then how does one find it? In the Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he declares, where is this truth found? Dharmasya nihitam, dharmasya guhaya nihitam, dharmasya tatam nihitam guhaya. That this truth is found deeply hidden in the heart of the unadulterated, pure devotee of Krishna. Therefore, Mahajanayena Katha Sabhanta. one should simply follow the process of the presentation of the path that is advocated by the great self-realized devotees. So here now is the two sections that I read from Srimad Bhagavatam. And while reading it or while listening to it, you'll understand why one can very easily think about His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. This is from the third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, purport to the 40th verse. We can all have the transcendental life of the Supreme Brahman, Sri Krishna, on the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, provided it is received through the medium of the transparent spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya's private secretary, Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, advised all intending visitors who came to see the Lord at Puri to make a study of the Bhagavatam from the Person Bhagavatam. Person Bhagavatam is the self-realized bona fide spiritual master, and through him only can one understand the lessons of Bhagavatam in order to receive the desired result. And then a few verses later, the purport to the 40th verse, Srila Prabhupada says, one can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of the Bhagavatam, if one has heard it from a self-realized great soul, like Shukadeva Goswami. One cannot, however, learn Bhagavatam from a bogus hired reciter, whose aim of life is to earn some money out of such recitation and employ the earning in sex indulgence. One has to learn the Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadeva Goswami and no one else, if one at all wants to see Lord Shri Krishna in the pages. That is the process, and there is no alternative. So fortunately for us, we have the guidance and the association of sadhus, the previous acharyas, who assimilated the depths of the Bhagavatam from many, many perspectives and represented their realizations in their amazing commentaries. And ultimately, we are exceptionally fortunate that we are blessed, all of us are blessed to be born in a period not too far from Srila Prabhupada's manifest pastimes. Srila Prabhupada is arguably, for some, of course not for us, but for some people, is arguably the greatest devotee that appeared in this Kali Yuga. And in Srila Prabhupada we find both the sadhu and the spiritual master in our lives. Actually, he is the sadhu and the guru in the lives of all the devotees from now and for thousands of years to come. Further, what is also very significant is that in the Bhagavatam, we have access to and we have the guidance to sadhu and guru in the pages of Bhagavatam in the form of Srila Prabhupada's commentaries. Srila Prabhupada's purpose, a transcendental marvel of the spiritual nature. And through Srila Prabhupada's purpose, we are mercifully granted entrance into a transcendental world that the Bhagavatam presents. Without this approach, one will be deluded, even by the Bhagavatam itself. Actually, the Bhagavatam expects to be accessed through the person Bhagavata, the sadhu, and the spiritual master who lives by the Bhagavatam. Now, in connection to today, and without any sentiment, I personally find myself very, very fortunate to have had the association of someone so deeply fixed in living with Srimad Bhagavatam and fixed in accessing the deep, sublime truths of the topmost of scriptures through Srila Prabhupada. In His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, I find someone who faithfully represents Guru and Sadhu in our lives. How often have we all heard, directly or in classes, Maharaj expressing astonishment at Srila Prabhupada's presentations in the Bhagavatam? So very often. And that level of consistency cannot be a pretense. It is very genuine. Thus today I'm very grateful to join all of you in honoring such a jewel-like personality. Through his decades-long dedication to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj shines so brightly reflecting the many facets of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna's transcendental name, form, glories and pastimes. He is shining so brightly that unless one is very, very deeply blinded by the ignorance of sense gratification, one cannot help but keep focus on the goal to attain to Krishna Prema. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you for your example of consistent dedication to Srila Prabhupada and his Bhagavatam. And thank you for sharing that dedication to me. I pray that someday I may begin to reflect a small fraction of that to others. Hare Krishna.
Before I call on His Grace Ram Vijay Prabhu, please may I ask His Grace Swetanjali Prabhu, as well as His Grace Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu to give the offerings to Maharaj. So I'd like to welcome His Grace Ram Vijay Das, who is a disciple of His Holiness Bhattacharya Swami Maharaj, and he also serves as the Vice President of Shri Shri Radharadhana. A warm welcome. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Om Adhyanath Charanjana Shivakaya Chakshurumilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to especially the disciples and devotees for arranging this program. It's wonderful that we get an opportunity to glorify His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. It is really such a privilege for us, actually. I was reflecting, coming up to the Vyasa Puja, how Maharaj has been so foundational in my life and my family's. I'm sure all of you. From my first serious attempts at practicing Krishna consciousness in Yoga, I remember those very astute Bhagavad Gita classes by Maharaj. But even more memorable was the strawberry halwa of Maharaj. I had not tasted anything like that since or before. That was really amazing. I don't know if you cooked other things also, but that strawberry halwa really won my heart. And I attribute everything, all my attempts in Krishna consciousness to that. And then through Hillbrow, Maharaj was always there, courses, classes, Srimad Bhagavatam, giving us a chance for serving and associating with him. And through all our difficult times, I remember Maharaj when we bought our house 24 years ago, we did the housewarming program, and always traveling and doing programs and supporting us. For Satyaki Prabhu, my father-in-law's funeral, actually Maharaj wasn't here at that time, but for the third day program, we specifically flew from Johannesburg, I think it was, to come to that program. Really, really appreciate your efforts. And then also when we had really tough times, I remember during COVID, I was fortunate to be locked down with the devotees at the temple. And we were blessed, we had in our association His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, His Holiness Kadambakana Swami, and His Holiness Ramagovinda Swami. And every day we get a different Bhagavatam class from one of them, and it was really blissful. And we didn't really suffer the pangs, we were like kind of locked in this association. Maharaj also had many responsibilities. I think he was GBC executive or GBC chairperson, I'm not sure at that time. And somehow he was doing all that and still giving us his association. Maharaj really went out of his way to give of himself, especially during that time when usually Maharaj, I'm sure you all know, he just traveled everywhere and moved around like quite energetically. But at that time he had to be stuck in the temple, but then we saw his online programs come on. And I don't know if you all know how much of effort it takes to put that camera and setup together. At least during the lockdown time, there were very few devotees around doing a lot. And many times Maharaj would carry the equipment himself, and many times he would set up the equipment. So after Mangala Aarti, everyone's ready to get into the japa. Maharaj would be spending 15-20 minutes trying to set up that equipment so he could be available to everyone. I mean, such like daily, every day. And he just gave us an amazing insight into the type of person he is. I was just always giving of himself, like even in the most challenging circumstances. And I also recall Maharaj at that time, my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhatticharu Swami, he took ill from COVID and he was hospitalized, and we all, of course, throughout the world, devotees were very concerned. And Maharaj would personally call me and give me some updates, because he was getting updates from the devotees in the US at that time, where Maharaj was hospitalized. And even when Maharaj passed away, I mean, I hadn't heard from anyone. As soon as Maharaj passed away, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami called me. I mean, he was in his room, I was in my room here. Called me to tell me that Maharaj had passed away. I mean, amongst all the turmoil that was going on, I mean, he had that to think of doing something like that. That was very amazing. And what he's done for me, of course, I'm sure he's done for everyone else, but moreover for the institution of ISKCON, as Ravana Prabhu said, the anchor tenant. He's been our anchor. He's cultivated us as a movement, as a yatra, and he's nourished us. And when we had these blows, he just cushioned them for us. So we're all really, really grateful to have you in our lives, Maharaj. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Ram Vijay Prabhu Ki. I'd now like to welcome His Grace Svetadri Prabhu. He is a senior disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj and has played an instrumental role in ISKCON South Africa, and is also the TP and a senior leader of our Port Elizabeth Yatra. A very warm welcome to His Grace Svetadri Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Om Dhyanatimirandasya Vinanjanashvakaya Chakshuratulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Tiraya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Shrinyavadi Paschad Vestarani. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is quoted Titikshava Karunika Surida Sarvadehina Ajata Shatrava Shantaha Sadhava Sadhu Bhushan. So Maharaj, Sadhu Bhushan, you are decorated with sublime qualities. You are very tolerant, you are very merciful, and you are very friendly to all the devotees. You have no enemies. If there is some give you disturbance, they are just like mosquitoes. And you are very peaceful one, always. And you abide by the scriptures. Yes, because hearing from you Krishna Katha and all these pastimes in the philosophy is a feast for the ears. Of course, in Vrindavan, when I was in VIH, Sarah every year used to come and used to give us so much nectar on Brahma Samhita and Vrindavan pastimes. Especially the way you taught us Brahma Samhita, it became very easy to understand the purpose and the beginning of Brahma Samhita also made it very, very easy for us. And Bhagavad Gita, the most beautiful thing when you gave us the course of Bhagavad Gita and Vyasa, every test you used to give us all the answers. That is the best part of it. If other teachers won't give us answers. And today I am here on behalf of all the devotees of Port Elizabeth, especially your disciples. Even we are far away in P, always, every year you came and you gave us a divine shelter and divine association. And every year you gave us 1 week courses, and 1 year you gave teachings, lessons from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and other years you gave also Vrindavan pastimes and different courses you gave until COVID came. Then we didn't see you after that in P. So all the devotees will have to pay you to please visit us also. Also I see you been to many countries. Please don't forget. And a small, we are living there like Sudama or Mandar. Sudama Puti. So please, I'm begging you to come there also. I know you're flying to Cape Town. You will spend 1 week there. But please do come to Port Elizabeth. It was a celebration every time we came there. All the devotees were very, very enthusiastic, very inspired by our presence. We received you from the airport and we took you to different Hari Darshan house, Darshan from his house. So today we are celebrating Vyasa Puja and this Vyasa Puja and beg you to please visit us also. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Swetavi Prabhu ki Srila Prabhupada ki I would also like to please ask Her Grace Champakalata Mataji, His Grace Srita Krishna Prabhu, and His Grace Anandamaya Krishna Prabhu to please also ready yourselves. I'd like to welcome His Grace Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu. He is a first-class Harinam expert in the service of Shri Shri Radha. He is a long-standing devotee in the service of their lordships and a disciple. My apologies, he will be back. Okay, I'd like to now welcome Her Grace Champakalata Mataji. She is a disciple of His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj and serves as a legal counsel for ISKCON South Africa and is also the GBC Minister of Justice. A very warm welcome to Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Omadhyamanthiravasya Nilantana Salakaya Chakshurumintanyaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchapapatarvischa Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitana Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo. Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All praise to Srila Prabhupada and to your divine grace on this most auspicious occasion of Shri Vyasa Puja. Over the past 4 decades, Maharaj, your presence in South Africa has been a stabilizing factor for this yatra. As a little girl attending the 10 campaigns and visiting the Keteridge ashram, I have clear memories of you as a striking figure alongside His Holiness Parthasarati Goswami Maharaj, like 2 determined brothers fulfilling the instructions of their spiritual father, leading kirtans and preaching boldly. Some years later, when I was a student at the then University of Natal, I would be transfixed listening to your presentations at the Bhakti Yoga Society programs, which I was actively involved in. Your answers to questions that students posed were always profound and enlightening. I looked forward to hearing from you and with great excitement would advertise these programs. During my university holidays, I would come to the temple every day and render various services. And once you called me in to assist with a novel way to conduct book distributions via mail order. You are indeed a visionary, Maharaj. Whilst online shopping only became very prominent in the past few years during the pandemic, you were ahead of the times, exploring innovative ways to distribute books by embarking on such projects, which could be considered as forerunners to e-commerce. As a BBT trustee, you always emphasized the need to distribute books and would go out and encourage the Sankirtan devotees, thereby inspiring and training them by example. You have always remained constant over time. Recently, I saw your participation in Harinam book distribution in the UK, teaching by example. You have given us so much of nectar, your parikram videos and books, enhanced by your super excellent photography skills. And Govardhan Puja at Sri Sri Radharanath Temple is never the same without your spellbinding narrations on the parikram mark. Likewise, your opening address at the start of the annual Rath Yatra festivals sets the tone and injects the hearts of all the participants with loving emotions to draw the ropes with devotion as we get an opportunity to reenact this pastime of loving exchange with their lordships. We are so fortunate that you have made Sri Sri Radharanath Temple your home base. In this way, although I don't get to associate much with my Guru Maharaj anymore, I have the good fortune of establishing a routine of listening to your classes by way of being a student in the Bhakti Vaibhav course, which you are presenting. I feel very connected to you as my Shiksha Guru in this way. Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 8.1.128. I quote, "The word Guru is equally applicable to Dharma Pradakshaka Guru, Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. The Guru may not be present physically all the time to instruct the disciple." Srila Prabhupada also explains in Krishna book that the spiritual master may be more than one. The spiritual master instructs the disciple about spiritual matters is called the Shiksha Guru, and the spiritual master who initiates the disciple is called the Diksha Guru. Both gurus are non-different, as both impart knowledge on how to rekindle our forgotten relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and provide us with opportunities to render devotional service. I am most grateful to you for presenting this course, Maharaj. I have always wanted to systematically study Srimad Bhagavatam, and now by your mercy I am able to do this. I find this to be the source of my daily spiritual nourishment. You are definitely no ordinary person. Whether you are meeting with top leaders in government, preaching at the university, giving class at the temple, teaching courses on scriptures, performing deity worship, or providing guidance and engaging in high-level management issues as a GBC member, you do so in an equiposed, thoughtful, and intelligent manner. Yet you are able to establish personal relationships with those who take shelter of you and are always willing to assist when necessary. Shri Shri Radharanath Ki. Your intelligence and wit are amazing. When I last met with you, Maharaj, I remember telling you that I pray that I will be blessed with a memory like yours. I'm always astounded by how much knowledge you have and how well you remember everything, let alone you are a self-taught multilingualist. I was totally astonished when I heard you speak fluent Russian in the UK. Give a whole class in Russian language without the aid of a translator and even cracking jokes. Lord Krishna has certainly endowed you with a multitude of talents and skills, all of which you utilize in the service of your spiritual master, whilst creating a wealth of resources for generations to come. In the past 14 years, as my services have been more on the international front, I have had the opportunity to observe how well respected you are by my fellow GBC members. You were the GBC chairman during one of the most difficult periods in ISKCON's managerial history, where you held the reins tight and steered the course steadily. I pray to always be the recipient of your wisdom, guidance and instructions. On this special day, when the mercy of the Guru flows, I beg that you always keep me in the protective shelter of your lotus feet and to make my guide eternal. In this way, I know that I'll be safely situated in serving your beloved spiritual master's institution and mission. Finally, as it is the duty of the disciple to render service to the Guru, I also humbly request that you grant me the opportunity in some way to repay my endless debt to you, Maharaj. I am grateful for your presence in my life over the past 4 decades. Your aspiring servant, Champakalata Das.
Her Grace Champakalata Mataji, he, Srila Prabhupada, he. So before I welcome His Grace Sita Krishna Prabhu, a reminder that we have His Grace Anandamaya Krishna Prabhu, that will be followed by His Grace J. Sachinanda Prabhu, as well as Her Grace Raja Rasini Mataji. So now I'd like to welcome His Grace Sita Krishna Prabhu, a senior disciple of His Holiness Bhakticharu Swami Maharaj, and a long-standing and senior leader in South Africa, also a wonderful teacher and preacher to many across the country. A very warm welcome. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Dear Swaraj, please accept my humble obeisances of those to me, of those who should have Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Isha Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Swami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, His plenary portions, His energies, and the primeval Lord Himself, Lord Chaitanya. Dearest Maharaj, I wish to present an offering in rhyme. I pray that you'll accept this offering of mine. I'm aware that you are a listener, astute, and a scholar of great repute, as I have a reflection, a reverential recollection of your gentle correction. For your love and service, I owe a great debt. Not serving you personally enough, though I regret. My Guru Maharaj had advised, and from his life and example, I was apprised, that we should find the opportunity to serve his God brothers with sincerity. He emphasized he was not always present. It is the local devotees with whom our lives we spend, and therefore upon whom we should depend. Hence, may it please you to know that long before I met my Diksha Guru, I was inspired by great devotees like you, and still do. Your early seminars at various venues kept our engagement in bhakti ever anew. I was impacted by your deep spiritual analysis that jolted me from my material paralysis. Your inspirational wisdom from the early years gave solace and relieved my fears. We should all realize that our devotional path was set for posterity due to your austerity to build Sri Sri Radha Radha Nam. You traverse the world to preach, locations difficult to reach, Krishna consciousness to jivas to teach, narrations with transcendental wit, expressions so intellectually swift. In illness or health, your steady goal to serve Srila Prabhupada in heart and soul. Although you have such great responsibility, an international, and our own GBC. Yet you are the epitome of heart-rending humility. You have the ability to relate to the Jiva beyond his temporary identity. I have the experience of this personally. I have so much to appreciate, it will fill a gigantic slate. You extended your mercy to my mother late. You named her Padma Manjari. Your classes she always admired. A solace she received as she retired. You allowed me to be a tutor in your classes online. My experience under your guidance was divine. By your grace, I recall the words of the sages in the Srimad Bhagavatam's transcendental pages. A verse, SV 116, once before I said, but an expression that is eternally in good stead. Rishya Ucha, Dwaye Kalu Puranani, Seti Hashali Chandra, Apyatali Apyaditali, Dharma Shastani. The sages said, a slight adaptation, please indulge me. Oh Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, you are completely free from all vice. You're well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well, and have them carefully explained for under Srila Prabhupada's proper guidance. You have begun. Thus the sages have identified a devotee like you who is qualified. On some occasion, my challenges I related, your advice and prompt emails my heart invigorated. I tried to record some services that I do. Recently, some seminars encouraged to do so by you. You responded with such encouragement. Wonderful, go on, you're doing well. An exuberant temperament. Your words are a spiritual nourishment. You always remind me that my Guru Maharaj is watching over me. But in his physical absence, I also rely on your mercy. Although you absorb in service incessantly, yet you grant me access so readily. A spiritual master like you is pleased when he sees his disciples practicing properly. So for your pleasure, I submit that your disciples serve ISKCON with great proficiency. They are always kind to everyone and me. They make me feel part of our Raja family. On this wonderfully auspicious Vyasa Puja day, I deeply pray for your prosperity, your health, and your longevity, and that I may be able to serve Maharaj in some way. Service.
His Grace Krishna Prabhu Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. I would now like to welcome His Grace Anandamaya Krishna Prabhu. He is a disciple of His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj and is serving as a capacity as a leader at Sri Sri Radharanath Temple. While we wait, I would just like to ask His Grace J. Sachinanda Prabhu and Her Grace Raja Balasini Mataji to ready themselves. Hare Krishna.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Srimati Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Nityananda. The following is a description of an ideal leader by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. I quote, if someone takes a leading post, he must agree to stay and not go away just because it is difficult from time to time. That is an ideal leader. He is responsible and he knows his duty. Close quote. Letter to Satsvarupa, Vrindavan, 5th November 1972. Srila Prabhupada describes three very important qualities of an ideal leader in ISKCON. One must be committed, one must be responsible, and one must know his duty. Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami grew up in a wealthy family in a peaceful and prosperous country. However, he came to South Africa to preach under austere and difficult circumstances. Out of compassion for the suffering, conditioned souls living here. Unlike so many preachers who have come and gone, Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami not only stayed, but took on a leadership position as the governing body commissioner for South Africa. With his gentle and firm demeanor, he has helped us overcome many challenges throughout the years. Recognizing Maharaj's astute leadership qualities, the GBC appointed Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami as the chairman, a position Maharaj has excelled in. Although Maharaj was holding such an important position and had responsibilities throughout the world, still he made the time to attend our humble preaching efforts in Jharkhand. Once I invited Maharaj to a program that we hosted in the town center. Maharaj had just landed after an international flight, and despite his fatigue, he got into the car and arrived at the program 10 minutes later. This is the extent of Maharaj's determination to spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. Our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya consists of illustrious acharyas who are extremely innovative in their preaching methods. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the loud singing of the Mahamantra and dancing in the streets. Srila Narottam Das Thakur preached through poetry. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote books in English and distributed them to universities outside India. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur created the Brihad Madanga, or the spiritual printing press, and held many scientific conferences to attract the fallen conditioned souls to Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada created an international spiritual institution unlike anything in the history of Vedic culture that will deliver suffering living entities for thousands of years to come. In true spirit of a noble Vaishnava heritage, Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami produced and narrated documentaries revealing the hidden treasures of Vrindavan in such titles as The Hills of Vashana, Nandina, The Glories of Govardhan Hill. I study these documentaries and use them regularly in my presentations. And many generations in the future will also study these documentaries. Maharaj, you thoroughly imbibe the qualities of an ideal leader as described by Srila Prabhupada. We are very grateful to you for the love, care, and guidance that you share with us. Srila Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Prema.
His Grace Anandamaya Krishna Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. I'd now like to welcome His Grace J. Sachinanda Prabhu. He is a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj and a resident close on 30 years at Shri Radharanath, and has also played a pivotal role in ISKCON in KwaZulu-Natal. A very warm welcome. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki. I have one confession to make. While Mary Prabhu and Ramjay Prabhu were just describing your culinary feats, as a wonderful cook, I was actually celebrating. You're such a wonderful. I could bear testimony. Thank you. On a more serious note. Om Jnana Tamadasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshunritam Jena Taspai Sri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Almost revered Bhakti Chaitanya Swami is a poem like written by the elders of the Krishnas. You gave up all that phantasmagoria. Sorry, we'll go back to this. Almost revered Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, infallible soldier in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan army. You gave up all that phantasmagoria to be a loyal servant of the founder Acharya. Blessed are we to be in your divine Sangha, resplendent, pure like the waters of the mighty Ganga. You are distinct by your amazing aura, saturated with the mercy of Sri Sri Nitai Gaura. Go to every town and village. Lord Chaitanya's plea. The order you executed with such enthusiasm and glee. Your simplicity, tolerance, humility, selflessness, gravity, of course, your sense of humor are all second nature, are worthy characteristics of your divine stature. ISKCON leader, spiritual father, mentor, Shiksha guru, Shastrik teacher, well-wisher, of course, culinary cook. Just like a rain cloud contains a forest fire, to renounce material life, you vow to inspire. With all the traveling that you see, with all that traveling, you never seem to tire. Your heroic exploits, one can only admire. Just like a dwarf trying to capture the moon. I am just like a dwarf trying to capture the moon. On this auspicious day, please shower your glance on this unfortunate goon. He's already this practice.
His Grace J. Sachinanda Prabhu ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. I'd now like to welcome the Grace Raja Vilasini Mataji. She hails from Cape Town and is a disciple of Srila Gurudev, and also serves as a co-zonal supervisor for South Africa and is the chair of the GBC South African Expo. A very warm welcome to her, Grace Raja Vilasini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna devotees. Om Janati Virandasya, Niranjana Shalakaya, Chakshurumritam, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Dasaya, Vitale, Srimati Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravan. Hare Krishna. So this offering is, Maharaj, on behalf of Radhisham Prabhu and myself, on behalf of the Sangh and the GBCA. Hare Krishna. Please accept our most sincere, humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Oh, glories to our dearest Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, dear Maharaj. We are so excited when it's the approach of our loved one's birthday. Similarly, Vyasa Puja of yourself, as well as of your blood brothers and blood sisters, is a time of excitement for us. But it's also a time of personal reflection and an opportunity for us to express our gratitude for your kindness and compassion that you openly demonstrate to each of us without an iota of reservation. Although we emotionally, intellectually, and philosophically know you are special, Maharaj, somehow we don't truly comprehend this. We are such conditioned souls ourselves. Srila Prabhupada broadcast the well-known time span of the Golden Age being 10,000 years in Kali Yuga, and you have mystically appeared to set the pace and sustenance for all of us interested in self-realization, nourishing us in this foundation to accomplish the ultimate goal of reuniting with our Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, verse 33, Srila Prabhupada writes, and quote, in other words, when disciples are grown up and they are able to preach, the spiritual master should retire, sit down in a solitary place, and execute devotional service. Dear Maharaj, you clearly have so much mercy for us, and have understood how much we're still depending on you, and how you have put off your own Nirja Bhajan to save us lost souls, and you continuously serve so tirelessly. The vigor and enthusiasm that you display seems unnatural and superhuman, of course, because our condition, we're not understanding your true position. Srila Prabhupada continues in this purport with wise words from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta never advised a neophyte devotee to sit in a solitary place. Of course, he has also written the Bengali song, Dusrimana Tumba Keshara Vaishnava Pratitara Thare Nirajane Hare Tava Hari Nama Kevala Kaitava. So thus Bhaktisiddhanta advocated that every devotee, under the guidance of the spiritual master, preach. And so now us, as disciples and devotees, should render the service as preachers and allow our spiritual master to retire from active preaching work. We should be taking on this preaching activities taught to us so tirelessly. Dear Maharaj, we are grappling, and therefore we have this map of you traveling so tirelessly, and yet we can't. So Maharaj, we are scared, we are grasping, we are contemplating the service that lies ahead of us. It is clear that our generation has not fully matured to receive this baton from you. But this is why your Nirvana Bhajan has to wait, and you don't complain about this. This is your exemplary mood, and it simply cannot be imitated. Will there be a moment in our lives when we genuinely understand your position and wholeheartedly follow your instructions? For now we will try to serve you, and with your blessings we will continue our prayers more intently. Samsara Java Navanida Loka, Chanaya Karyana Yanaganatra, Praptasya Karyana Gunadavasya, Vandeshikuru, Charana Ravina. Maharaj, on behalf of the zonal supervisors, the executive committee, and the members of Sangh, we prostrate ourselves with heads at your lotus feet and offer our gratitude, appreciation, and obeisances in humility. You're an inspiration to us, and we pray to Krishna and Guru and Gauranga, thanking them for sending us such an immaculate son to guide us and establish a compass to navigate this dangerous terrain in the Kali Yuga. O glories to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, O glories to Srila Prabhupada, your servant Radhisham Das, Radvilasini Devi Dasi, on behalf of the devotees of South Africa. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Her Grace Raja Vilasini Mataji Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Dear devotees, thank you. We'd like to thank all of our senior Vaishnavas for their expressions of love and gratitude today. And I also want to say, I'm not too sure if this is in true ISKCON and style, but we're going according to product on time and we're ahead of schedule. So let's just give ourselves a turning on. So while the next part of our program is we're going to perform Guru Puja for Srila Gurudev, but we just want to welcome anybody that's joined us online because we're streaming on Facebook. So if you have, please give us a huge Hari Bol and also let us know from where you're streaming and which country. So before we perform Guru Puja, I think we all need to show how excited we are to be here today in the celebration, celebrating the 72nd Vyasa Puja of Srila Gurudev. So on the count of 3, and if you're online listening as well, you can do it as well. We're going to chant the Maha Mantra together as loud as possible from our hearts to signify how happy we are to be in the presence of their lordships, all the senior disciples, all the wonderful devotees, and celebrating Maharaja's Vyasa Puja. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Srila Gurudev ki Prabhupada ki. So now we'll perform Guru Puja. We'd like to invite His Grace Govardhan Prabhu to lead Kirtan, while His Grace Namacharya Prabhu, a senior disciple of Srila Gurudev as well, will perform the arati. Please all rise. Devotees, just a reminder, once we've concluded Guru Puja for Srila Gurudev, please remain. We have a wonderful cake cutting ceremony afterwards, so please don't run away. Very quickly.
Jaya Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Guru Deva, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Guru Deva, Jaya Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Guru Deva, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Guru Deva. Anam
I bow down to his lotus feet and pay no one reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection and full of all desire. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with truth and knowledge. He is my Lord, my breath after breath. The static pregnant by the very existence of his character. Our spiritual master is an ocean of mercy, a friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. Oh, Master, please give us give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is our we take
Mine is cutting.
Everybody, Haribo!
His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki! Vyasa Puja ki! Srila Prabhupada ki! Jai Gaur Premanande!
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thanks, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
India. India and Russia is nice. Oh, India and Russia. Hey, Deva, Deva.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha, 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 Jai Guru, Hare Guru, Sri Srimad His Divine Loving Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur. Shri Gurudev Vyasa Puja Ki Jai. Guru Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Guru Premanand. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Om Premanand. Om glories to the Assembly Devotees. All glories to the Assembly Devotees. All glories to the Assembly Devotees. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dear devotees, that is the first segment of today's program as concluded, and it's time for smiling. So just a reminder that the disciples will observe a half-day fast on Monday, August 14th. And kindly rejoin us promptly at 3 p.m. in the temple room for the continuation of the most auspicious occasion of the 72nd Vyasa Puja of the Swami.